Good morning to all of my dear students. Today we are going to read a new poem, Summer and Winter, at page number 76. So, my dear students, please open your textbook at page number 76. This poem, Summer and Winter, it is written by one of the great poets of English literature, that is Shelley. So, this is not a common name. He has a great contribution and he is regarded one of the great poets of English literature. Before going to start, I have already told you in the earlier poems that we have seen some poetic techniques that have been used here. One particular technique among them is the imagery. I have already told you what is the imagery of sight, imagery of sound. Here in this poem, we face some imageries that have been beautifully used by the poet, and the main crux of this poem, Summer and Winter, here the poet makes a comparison between summer and winter. So this comparison has been drawn with the help of beautiful images. Here the summer, it has been presented as a bright and joyful, and it symbolizes happiness, while as the winter has been described as very dull and lifeless. So the winter, it symbolizes lifelessness. So let's start. It was a bright and cheerful afternoon towards the end of sunny month of June, when the north wind congregates in crowds the floating mountains of silver clouds from the horizon, and the stainless sky opens beyond them like eternity. All things rejoiced beneath the sun, the weeds, the river, the cornfields, and the reeds, the willow leaves that glanced in the light breeze, and the firm foliage of the larger trees. Now, dear students, here the first stanza, it is all about the summer. And what poet tells about the summer? Let's see. It was a bright and cheerful afternoon. So the poet here says in the very first line that during the summer we see the afternoon, that is the time when the sun is right angles, and at that very time we see that this afternoon is very bright and it is very cheerful. Towards the end of the sunny month of June, and the poet talks here about the month of June. So June is one of the months of summer season. So the poet says that in the month of June it is always very sunny. Sunny means when it is not raining, when it is when we are having bright sunshine. And in this very month of June, what we see the bright and cheerful afternoon, when the north winds congregate in crowds. So what happens? We see the winds blowing from the north. So they are getting congregated. Congregate means to get aggregated in large amounts. So these winds that are blowing from the north, they are making the crowds. They are coming very close to each other and are assuming the shape of a crowd. The floating mountains of the silver clouds from the horizon and the stainless sky. The floating mountains of the silver clouds. And what we see in the in this season of summer, we see sometimes the mountains are floating, just like as they say they appear as silver clouds. जैसे वो silver color के clouds दिखते हैं. Have a look here and let's see what is the entire scenario of these floating mountains of silver clouds. These mountains, these clouds, they look like as mountains of silver color and they are floating over the sky. And this is only possible. We can only see such a scene only during the summer, not in the winter. So these floating mountains of silver clouds from the horizon and the stainless sky. And we also observe the horizon. Dear students, have a look here. Horizon means when we just extend our sight, जब हम नज़र को दौड़ाते हैं, सो दूर जाके तो हमें दिखता है कि एक जगह ऐसी दिखाई दे रही है जहाँ पे जो सिके है वो ज़मीन के साथ द सिके सीम्स टचिंग द अर्थ बट एक्चुअली इट इज़ नॉट सो. असल में ऐसा नहीं होता है. बट इफ़ वी just stretch our views, our sight, so what happens where at the end we see that the sky is touching or it is seems very close to the earth as if the both are they are joined with each other. So this is called horizon, the point, the line where the sky seems to touch the earth, that is called horizon, जिसको उर्दू में उफक भी कहते हैं. So from the horizon and the stainless sky, and you see here the sky, it is stainless. We don't see any stain. Stain means dog या दब्बा जिसको कहते हैं. We see clear sky. So from the horizon and the stainless sky opens beyond them like eternity, and beyond this horizon we see that the sun seems to appear. हमें वो दिखता है कि शायद वहीं से चला गया. तो we see that this sun, it enjoys the eternity, it goes forever beyond this origin. All things rejoiced beneath the sun. Now the poet wants to tell us that whatever comes और वट एवर रिसीव्स द सनलाइट, जो भी सूरज की रोशनी हासिल करता है या जिस पे ये सूरज की रोशनी पड़ती है, ऑल दोज थिंग्स, जिन जिन चीज़ों पे ये पड़ती है, they get very rejoiced, very beautiful. Whether they are the weeds, you see the unwanted grasses that grow naturally, these are various kinds of weeds here. And when sunlight falls over the weeds, they get very much rejoiced. And the river, when it falls on the rivers, they also get very much rejoiced. And the cornfields, and we have seen cornfields generally, जो मक्की के खेत हमारे around होते हैं, they also get very beautiful. And the reeds, you know, जो नरखट जिसको उर्दू में कहते हैं, तो कश्मीरी में नार कलम इसको बोलते हैं. ये तो पानी में उगते हैं और यथ ब्रोह कलम त करान नार टूंड यथ वनान. चाहे इन पे ये गिरेगी ये सूरज की रोशनी इन द समर सीजन, गर्मियों में, तो everything gets rejoiced. Whether the light falls on the weeds, whether it falls on the rivers, whether it falls on the cornfields, or whether it falls on the reeds, जो नरखट होते हैं. And we have then the willow tree, the willow leaves. विलो जो हमारे पास बेद का दरख्त होता है, कश्मीर में बहुत ज़्यादा पाया जाता है, या तो वीर वनाच, तो इसके जो पत्ते होते हैं, द विलो लीव्स दैट ग्लैंसेड इन द लाइट ब्रीज, तो ये भी चमकते हैं जब हल्की हल्की ब्रीज जो होती है, ठंडी ठंडी हवा जब चलती है. एंड व्हेन सनलाइट फॉल्स ओवर देम दे आल्सो गेट वेरी rejuvenated, they look very beautiful. And the firm foliage of the larger leaves. Then we have the larger trees, big trees, and they have these bunches of leaves. That is called foliage. When we have tight pack of leaves, very big leaves, and they also seem very beautiful when sunlight falls over them. So in the last two lines of the first stanza, we see that the willow leaves and the foliage of the larger trees, they also get rejoiced when sunlight falls over them. So here in the first stanza, the poet gives us a complete description about the summer. And I have already told you in the introduction that this summer jo hai, it represents, it symbolizes happiness, and everything seems happy in the summer, and definitely looks very beautiful. Now in the second stanza, that is about the winter. It was a winter such as when birds die. So what happens in winter? Due to extreme cold, कड़ाके की जो ठंड होती है, तो बर्ड्स जो होते हैं वो मर जाते हैं. इन द डीप फॉरेस्ट, जो घने जंगल होते हैं, वहाँ पे की मौत होती है शदीद सर्दी की वजह से. एंड द फिशेस लाई स्टिफनेड, और जो मछलियाँ होती है, फिशेस, वो सुगड़ी हुई दिखाई देती है. दे डोंट सीम एक्टिव एंड शाइनिंग, इनकी स्किन जो है इसमें कोई चमक और इनमें कोई वो जो फुर्ती होती है, जिस तरह ये उछलती है पानी में, तो ठंड की वजह से ये भी सुकड़ जाती है. दे गेट स्टिफनेड, इनकी बॉडी हार्ड होती जाती है. सो स्टिफनेस हार्ड. They get stiffened in the translucent. Translucent means जिसमें पूरी जो लाइट है वो पार नहीं हो पाती है, जिसको हम नैम शफाफ कहते हैं उर्दू में. तो ट्रांसल्यूसेंट आइस, जो पानी जो यख में चेंज होता है विंटर में, that makes the body of these fishes very hard and very stiff and very dull also, which makes even the mud and slime of the warm lakes. तो what happens, जो कीचड़ होती है लेक्स में, झीलों में, जो वहाँ पे जो सिलिट होती है वो भी हार्ड होती है, वो भी जम जाती है ठंड की वजह से. एंड wrinkled colored as hard as brick, और इसमें झुर्रियाँ पड़ जाती है ठंड की वजह से, ये फ्रीज होती है. इवन द मड, चाहे वो मिट्टी हो, या इवन द wrinkled colored, वी सी दैट कलर्ड, इसको उर्दू में ठिकरी बोलते हैं, या कशर पे कतर बनान. एज हार्ड एज ब्रिक, यानी ये जो मिट्टी होती है ये भी बहुत सख्त हो जाती है व्हेन इट फ्रीजेस. जिस तरह एक ठिकरी, इसका कतर से आसान, हार्ड एज अ ब्रिक, एक ब्रिक की तरह. तो यहाँ पे इसने एज हॉट एज का इस्तेमाल किया है, तो इट इज़ सिमिली एंड व्हेन अमंग देयर चिल्ड्रन कंफर्टेबल मैन गैदर अराउंड ग्रेट फायर्स। तो जो अच्छे घरों के लोग होते हैं, जिनका जो लाइफ स्टैंडर्ड है, जो पैसे वाले होते हैं, वो क्या करते हैं, वो इस कड़ाके की ठंड में मैं भी वो कंफर्टेबल यानी अपने आप को आरामदेह and among their children comfortable men gather around about great fires, so they manage fires in the form of बुखारी, चाहे बुखारी होगी, आज के दौर में गैस बुखारियाँ भी होती है, और जो या वुड बुखारीज इनका भी इस्तेमाल किया जाता है, या एसी भी लगाते हैं कुछ लोग जो अमीर होते हैं, तो वो इस कड़ाके की ठंड में भी अपने आप को कंफर्टेबल रखते हैं। वो दे सिट अराउंड द फायर्स एंड कीप themselves वेरी मच कंफर्टेबल, लेकिन एंड येट फील कोल्ड, लेकिन इतना इंतज़ाम होने के बावजूद भी फिर भी उनको ठंड लगती है, जब इनके घर में गरम गरम कंबल, गरम बिस्तर, these gas bukhari's and these electrical blowers, heaters, फिर भी still they feel cold, फिर भी उनको ठंड महसूस होती है। allows then for the homeless beggar old, लेकिन यहाँ पे जो पोइट जो है ये सोचता है कि आखिर जो एक बूढ़ा भिखारी होता है, जिसका घर भी नहीं होता है, जिसके पास विंटर को फेस करने के लिए अच्छे कपड़े नहीं होते, he is not having the good shoes, socks, or warm clothes, and he is not having the arrangement of a home or a house where he is having the facilities of these warm equipments जो उसको गर्म रख सकते हैं, तो इस ओल्ड बैगर का क्या होगा। सो एट द एंड वी सी द पोइट टेक्स पिटी, उसको रहम आता है उस बैगर पर जो बूढ़ा है और जिसके पास कोई इंतज़ाम भी नहीं है टू प्रोटेक्ट अगेंस्ट द चिलिंग कोल्ड। सो हियर we see in the last stanza that is completely about the winter. Winter is very dull, it makes everything dull. We don't see plenty of sunshine and we don't feel comfortable despite the people who are well off, जो कि अच्छे अमीर होते हैं, they don't they arrange everything, they are having everything to face the chilly cold, still they are feeling the cold, and we see the birds dying in the deep forests, and we see the fishes, they get stiffened in the translucent water, and even the mud in the lakes gets wrinkled and becomes like the colored जो ठिकरी या जिसको कश्मीरी में हम कतर कहते हैं, they get it gets very hard like that, or it gets hard like a brick. Here the simile has been used. So at the end the poet feels very much pity about the old beggar who is a homeless beggar, and how he can face such a chilly cold. Thank you.